Did you know that not all assets pass through a will? An inheritance is a collection of assets that you may receive from loved ones once they've passed away, or the opposite, a collection of assets that you may wish to leave once you're gone. And there can be a lot of confusion around the basic mechanics of how an inheritance works. I've chosen the beautifully diverse state of Arizona to discuss the topic of inheritance because beyond the Grand Canyon and the cactus, like inheritance, there's so much more to discover. We're going to be looking at a lot of biodiversity in Arizona this week. Today, we're hiking at about 8,000 feet in elevation in an area outside of Tucson called Mount Lemmon. And how many trees are in this forest? Well,
about 3.2 million.
I mean the variety.
We've got pine trees, we've got fir trees, we've got maple,
Oak, yeah,
aspen.
and that's what you're here to get a picture of, the aspen trees in the fall.
I'm here for the maple as well.
There you go. So hopefully we'll get some pretty fall pictures. And anyway, what I wanted to say is it's important you understand I'm not giving legal advice. Consult with a professional attorney for laws in your state and for your specific situation when discussing inheritance. What I can give you are the specific mechanics of how inheritance works that you may not be aware of. And, you can discuss that with your family, and also a list of questions that you can take to your attorney. The first thing to know is that if you die without a will, your estate becomes what's known as intestate, meaning someone you don't know is in charge of divvying up your assets. So if you want a say of what happens to your assets after you pass, ask your attorney first for a will. Verbal promises and deathbed notes rarely stand up. Once your will is established, talk to your attorney about what doesn't pass through the will that you so thoughtfully put together. For example, retirement account assets, such as your IRA, 401k, and pension lump sums, all pass outside of a will, as do insurance products, like annuities and life insurance benefits. Bank accounts and brokerage accounts also often offer POD and TOD titles. This stands for pay on death and transfer on death. These do not pass through a will, and often they're used for smaller accounts, smaller estates where the owner wants things to pass through smoothly to their beneficiary, but doesn't want that person on their account during their lifetime. Okay, we made it to the top. We're at the Mount Lemmon area at about 8,000 feet. It's a little chilly, very windy, but boy, is it worth those views. Arizona is beautiful. So we were talking about having people on your account. Let's talk about that for a moment. There are two types of joint accounts, and a lot of folks don't know this. The first is JTWROS, Joint Tenants with Rights of Survivorship. Just like it sounds, it's what a lot of people expect. When the first owner passes away, the owner that's left inherits the account in full without passing through a will. The other is JTTEN, Joint Tenants in Common. This is not as common of a title, but it can occur, and it means when the first owner passes away, those half of the assets are probated. They do pass through a will, and the remaining owner only gets half of the account. There might be a reason for one or the other, so ask your attorney. In my experience, most people who find out they have joint tenants in common are upset that they don't have rights of survivorship. So definitely this is a good time to check your account and see which type of joint account you have, and if it's labeled in a way that achieves what you're looking for. This is a good time to segue back to retirement accounts. Remember in the beginning, we talked about the fact that retirement accounts do not pass through will. They pass via beneficiary. I'm often surprised how many people don't realize that retirement accounts can't be held jointly. But because of this, spousal beneficiaries do receive special treatment. When you're thinking about inheritance, remember, spousal beneficiaries receive your retirement assets as their own, and that's different for a non-spousal beneficiary. The rules change over the years with non-spousal beneficiaries, but as of 2023, a non-spousal beneficiary for a retirement account has 10 years to withdraw those funds and pay taxes on them. Thinking about how your retirement assets pass is important when thinking about inheritance, because Americans own over half of their assets in retirement accounts. Well, we ran out of sunlight yesterday. We're still in the same general area around Tucson, about 15 miles from where we were hiking yesterday. Much lower elevation, so the pine trees are gone and the cactus is back. We're hiking to a waterfall, so come along. The saguaro behind me can be over 200 years old. They're very slow growing. In fact, it's often 100 years before they start growing their first arm. Aren't they beautiful? The first thing we talked about was talking to your attorney about a will so that you don't die and have someone you don't know distribute your assets. And then we talked about all the things that pass outside of that will. So at this point, a lot of people ask, do I even need a will? Probably so. Remember, personal effects are not titled. So jewelry, artwork, special pieces of furniture, things of that nature, you want to make sure that an executor who has a fiduciary responsibility that you've chosen is in charge of distributing your personal effects. The next thing you'll want to know about whether you're giving or receiving an inheritance are the tax rules. Consult your attorney and accountant for current rules and rules to your specific situation, but knowing these general guidelines will get you a long way. Well, this is not the waterfall we're hiking to, but it's a beautiful place to stop and rest. The first general rule to know about with inheritance and taxes is in your non-IRA accounts. We refer to these as your taxable accounts, whether it's an individual name, joint name, TOD, the rules are all the same, and it's this. When you leave a taxable account asset to your beneficiaries, they receive a step up in cost basis. For example, if you purchased XYZ stock at $10 a share, and the day you pass away, XYZ stock is now $100 a share, your beneficiaries in a taxable account receive that step up, and now their cost basis is $100. Had you sold that before you passed away in this example, you'd have $90 a share in capital gains tax to pay. Keep this in mind. If you're thinking that you want to go ahead and gift these shares before you pass away, thinking it will make things easier, if you have a large capital gain in some of these assets in your taxable account, your original cost basis passes with that gift while you're still alive. So when you are giving an inheritance or on the receiving end of an inheritance, remember, if you're receiving that and the owner is still alive, you have the original cost basis. If it's after the account owner has passed away, you get the step up in cost basis as of the date of their passing. Something to remember. Life insurance proceeds are generally tax-free. Annuities are different. When a beneficiary receives an annuity, generally the principal that the owner added is not taxable, but the gains are taxable at the beneficiary's tax rate. I touched on retirement accounts earlier, but just to reiterate for the taxes, a spousal beneficiary does not have to pay tax to receive a retirement account. A non-spousal beneficiary has 10 years to make that distribution and pay tax on it at their tax rate as if it were income, and each non-spousal beneficiary can choose their own distribution method. In summary, understanding the basic mechanics of how inheritance works will help you and your loved ones to avoid unnecessary tax burdens and ultimately help you to get more of your hard-earned assets where you would like them to go in the most efficient manner possible. 7 waterfalls in the desert. What an oasis. Can't imagine a better place to end our day. Keep going on to video number 2, where we visit Sedona and talk about if you need a trust and if there are more tax-efficient ways to give to charity. See you there. Welcome to the Rhino Investor Educational Series. Like and subscribe to charge along with us.